So you have around $50,000 to spend. You want a Porsche, but you also have a family and 2 kids and a dog that you need to take around and carry. Well, here's the answer. You could get yourself a nice 2021 Porsche Macan with all-wheel drive for around $45,000.
Or for $2,000 more, you can go and you can get a brand new BMW X3 with 0 miles on it, and frankly, a less outdated interior and exterior, because in the time that this car has had 2 refreshes, that's had 1. And
yeah, but you don't have that. This is a Porsche. That's just a BMW.
that's basically just a badge signifying it's a Porsche. It's still a Macan. It's not like you're driving a 911 around.
Well, let's find out. We're going to put both of these cars head-to-head in some tests, and we're going to find out which one really is the best bang for your buck. My name is Evo.
I'm Aiden.
And you're watching God Next. Typical BMW owner, he's over here on his phone, business calls, whatever.
Buy, sell, buy, sell,
Let's go over the spec of this Macan so I can show you guys what it is. So this, as I said earlier, is a 2021. This is actually a base Macan. And it's interesting because the base comes in all-wheel drive. Now, this one isn't a complete base. It's got Porsche-specific headlights, the PDLS. It does have heated seats, panoramic sunroof. So it's got some.
Are you telling me it
upgraded
doesn't come
options.
standard with heated seats for a new price of $60,000?
Anyways, it does have the upgraded 19-inch Macan S wheels, which that doesn't. But this is a really, really nice SUV for it being a base model. I mean, you have Alcantara on the seat inserts in the middle and on the back. And of course, with 21, they did update the infotainment system. So you have wireless Apple CarPlay.
That's about all they updated. Because here's the thing.
Tell me about that then.
Okay, you are right when you say that one gets all-wheel drive as standard. This one comes as standard with rear-wheel drive.
So you drove a standard BMW X3 in the snow with
yeah, it
rear-wheel
handled
drive.
fine. It didn't slip at all.
Gotcha.
So without any problems, and it comes with, not that all seasons are good in the snow, but it's better than summer tires. Rear-wheel drive, inline 4, that's about all it has. The interior still uses that Sensatech, which I'm not a huge fan of, and we'll get into that later about the comfort of these cars. BMW still wins that, by the way. But yeah, this is basically just as base as on the X3 as you can go. There's not many options. Literally, because of how low mileage this is, the dealership that owns this car is selling it for its new price. But there's literally no options in this thing. Rear-wheel drive. It's got a panoramic moonroof. I guess that is an option, so it's got that. But other than that, it's just a basic X3 without much going on with it at all. But it was still...
But do you have the PDLS headlights?
No, I have these little cool daytime running lights. The halo, or half halos, that BMW got rid of on the M4 coming up.
Listen, the Macan is a really, really good looking SUV. Now, he did make a good point. This thing has not been refreshed in...
It looks like a 2015.
Well, it's because it came out in 2015.
Other than the taillights.
But here's the thing. Listen, Porsche has a tendency to not refresh cars or keep them to look the same because they go by the mantra of why change something when it's not broken.
Okay, the only car I think they've done a great job at making, you know, generational changes to is the Cayenne, because that has changed quite a bit.
The 911 has good generational changes?
Okay, I love the 911, but it doesn't look any different.
That's true. But we can sit here and ramble on all about the looks and everything, but let's take a look at the interior because both of these cars are interesting, and he's right in the fact that this interior is very dated.
Yeah.
Now, because I'm in a Porsche midsize crossover, even though it's a comparison, got to drink my Starbucks. But the interior, as Aiden did say, this is very dated. I mean, this interior is straight out of a 2015 Macan, aside from the infotainment system, which I personally really like Porsche's infotainment system. I think once you get used to it, it's easy to use. At first, it can be kind of challenging to get used to because it's German and they overcomplicate things. But overall, it works well and it never really has any hiccups. Now, in terms of everything else in the interior, there's a lot of plastic in here. I mean, a lot of plastic, which this whole center console right here is out of a 2010 Panamera. I mean, it's not a bad thing. It looks pretty good, but there's a lot of plastic buttons, of course, everything. A lot of missing buttons, which means you got the base model. And, of course, typical Porsche instrument cluster. You have the TAC in the middle, which kind of is like their 911s. These seats, as I said, these are the upgraded seats. These are 18-way, fully adaptive seats. They do have the Alcantara in the middle, but they're not, I got to say, they're not the most comfortable seats that I've ever sat in. They could be a lot better, and there's actually no, like, in the center right here, the bolstering, there's no button to push it in and out. Maybe I just can't find it, but it really feels like you bought a car from 2015 when you're in here. Now, again, it's Porsche's thing. It doesn't really matter for many, but some it might if you care about tech and everything. But overall, I have pretty good headroom in here. I'm about 6 feet tall. Does have the panoramic, which gives it just a little bit more of that of the headroom in here. Of course, it's not a bad place to be. I mean, the interior, for being almost 10 years old, is nice. I mean, it's a Porsche at the end of the day. The BMW, of course, does have a better one, and you'll see in a second with Aiden. I wouldn't hate this. I mean, it's dated, sure, but I wouldn't hate this interior. I mean, if I had to daily drive a Porsche every day, I wouldn't turn it down. But let's go look at that X3.
Inside of the X3, and I don't know what he said about the Macan, but on the inside of the X3, I can at least tell you this. It doesn't feel like the interior is from 2015. That's right. The only thing that it seems like Porsche has done to the Macan in the last 9 or so years is update the center screen in the Macan, which is great and all, and it's got a new infotainment system, all that. But when your buttons look like they're out of a 2012 Panamera or a 2015 Macan, there starts to be a problem when, you know, the X3, for example, which is a competitor to the Macan, they can manage to update this car roughly about every 3 to 4 years. This car gets a refresh. For example, you have this massive center screen. This still runs iDrive 7. BMW's currently starting to transition all of their cars over into the next generation using iDrive 8, the big screens and everything like that. But nevertheless, this is fine. iDrive 7, wireless Apple CarPlay, and Android Auto, just like in that Porsche, and a digital driver's display that is completely digital versus in the Macan, you have a dashboard and a gauge cluster that looks like it came straight out of an old Cayman or an old Boxster, or again, the 2015 Macan. They haven't updated it at all. Creature comforts in here. You have a heated steering wheel, heated seats, dual zone climate control, plenty of space for cup holders and everything like that. It can be optioned with adaptive cruise control and lane centering assist, which basically means the car can now drive itself. Nice materials throughout the interior. I don't love the Sensatec leather. That's what's on this because it can be upgraded to the Vernasca leather, which is a little softer and a little more plush. This one doesn't have that, which is a little disappointing, but for the most part, these are still comfortable. Even Evo, when he sat in this car and he actually rode in it right after the Macan, he said that this was a more comfortable car to be in, purely because the materials in here I personally think are better than the materials inside of the Macan. But overall, it is a great place to be. Plenty of technology and creature comforts everywhere you're going to be looking, and safety systems. And I think for the most part, at least in the front seats of this thing, anyone is going to be happy with it. Now, if you're looking at these cars in the first place, you're probably going to want to have a decent back seat room. If you're looking at an SUV in general, you're probably carrying people in the back. The X3 doesn't disappoint. It's pretty nice back here. You get great legroom behind the front seat, the driver and the passenger side. And I'm about 6 feet tall. Plenty of legroom still, 6 inches. Headroom is pretty nice as well. Of course, you have the moonroof that stretches all the way back here, so you don't feel so claustrophobic. I don't love how this massive thing goes down into the back windows between the B and the C pillar. It looks kind of funky, and I can't tell you exactly why it's like that. But as you can see, this part doesn't roll down, only this section of the window does, which can be a little bit annoying. But other than that, you have a climate zone back here for your rear passengers with the airflow controlled going up there. You have 2 USB Type-C ports down here, some more storage under the climate controls, these backseat pockets, plenty of storage in the door, cup holders, some other storage down here, and you have an armrest right here, of course, with 2 more flimsy cup holders that BMW says still not fixed over the last 10 years. On top of that, if you do want to be a little more comfortable back here and you don't have anything in the back, you can actually recline these seats using a lever on the side, which is really nice as well. But overall, I think the back of the X3 is a good win. Good headroom, good knee room, good space, and the seats recline, and the seats, even though they are Sensatec, still pretty comfortable.
Now here's the area where the Macan, it definitely is very lackluster when it comes to its competitors in the crossover market. Every other competitor out there, the X3, the GLC, the Audi Q5, they're much roomier. This seat is set up the way I like it, and I told you guys I'm about 6 feet tall, and I have no leg room. I mean, look at this. This is horrendous. I have no headroom. I mean, I have to be slanted the whole time because look, if I do this, I'm still kind of slanted. I cannot yeah, it's not good back here. It is not. This is not good. This is more for kids. And I mean, I guess some of you guys are gonna be like, well, you're expecting it to be the size of a Cayenne. No, because that car, I can sit back there comfortably. Here, I can't. So, I don't know. And the materials over here don't feel very good. I mean, the front seats are the only thing in this interior where you can pay to have it like upgraded, like the 18-way adaptable seats. Back here, these aren't heated. They're not. It's not an option to have these heated unless you go for a higher trim level like the GTS. It's just, I don't know. It's not very good back here, and there's not really much room. I mean, technically, with the way the seat belts are set up, you can fit 3 people back here. Unless you're fitting 3 or 4-year-old kids, you're not fitting 3 people back here. Grown adults will not fit back here. I mean, 2 will, 3. It's gonna be a stretch. But the next area we got to talk about is cargo space, because it is an SUV at the end of the day. So that's something we do have to cover. Let's look at the back. Now, it doesn't get much better back here in the Macan. The cargo space in this thing is the smallest, well, close to being the smallest in the whole segment compared to that, again, the GLC and the other competitors this thing has. You have a total of about 52.6 cubic feet of cargo space. That's assuming you put those rear seats down, which you can do. You can take the shelf off, of course. That's not very impressive. It's really not. At the end of the day, that fits more, pretty much every other SUV in the segment fits more space back here. If you take these down, you might be able to fit, I don't know, probably like 5, 6, 7 bags maybe, depending on them. Luggage cases, of course, golf clubs. At the end of the day, it is an SUV, so you have more space than a 911. But for what it is and what segment it's in, this is not impressive. Porsche really needs to, I hope they improve this with the new Macan. But let me have Aiden show you guys the cargo space in that thing.
Now, because you're buying an SUV, you're going to care about the cargo capacity and what you can fit into the X3. And I'm happy to tell you, the X3 actually fits quite a bit more than the Macan does, roughly 15% more than it does. This one has a total cargo capacity of 62.7 cubic feet. Behind that third row, it's going to be more around 20 cubic feet. But if you go ahead, fold all the seats down and everything like that, total cargo capacity comes out to around 62.7 cubic feet. And of course, you also have a load cover right here, just in case you want to use that as well. So driving the X3 Evo, and even though it's rear-wheel drive, it actually gets through this snow pretty easily.
You're in mud now.
Well, mud, but I was in snow.
That's true.
It's doing both perfectly fine with its all seasons.
Sure. Yeah.
But the truth is, if you had a good enough tire, it doesn't really matter if it's rear-wheel drive or all-wheel drive or whatever.
Well,
a tire will
this
carry.
It doesn't really matter. Yeah. Depends on. I mean, if you get involved with other stuff, then more, it might be. But
all right, let's turn DSC back on in sport mode. Go into comfort here. So, the benefits of this over the Macan alone are gas mileage. For anyone who cares about efficiency, you're looking at 25 miles per gallon combined, 29 on the highway, and I think 21 on the in the city.
Yeah,
so
that's pretty good.
It is pretty good. Top speed isn't nothing to brag about. It's 130 miles an hour and a 6 second 0 to 60.
I mean, who's doing 130 miles an hour in their X3?
Or their Macan, their base Macan,
yeah.
To be honest with you. Which, the Macan has a higher top speed, but it has the same acceleration times on it. Now, it being a BMW, just German car in general, it's pretty silent in here and isolated from the road, which is nice. And the driving position, the way the steering feels, it just feels like just a normal car, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
Nothing too crazy. There, oh, that's fine. Nothing too crazy. And to be honest with you, it handles the road pretty well by itself. Though, I know a lot of people do say the X3 can be a little harsh. What I noticed is going over bumps. The suspension doesn't do an amazing job at mitigating those.
It is very stiff. I've driven an X3 like this from Las Vegas all the way down to basically San Diego, and I gotta say the road was, the driving aspect of it was very stiff. I mean, the car was, it's not a bad car, like you said, it's very isolated, it's quiet in here, which is good, which is what you want for like a family SUV, but it's just, it rides stiffer compared to the other cars.
To the Macan. Well, and the engine in this is also good. It's the B48, which has been pretty solid out of an inline 4. If you don't care about performance, this is perfectly fine. Let's go get in the Macan.
Yeah, let's do it. Setting off in the 21 Macan base all-wheel drive. Yeah. I mean, beast of an SUV. No, but all jokes aside, the BMW drove good, but I think this drives much better in my opinion. it feels more planted, and whereas it feels like a Porsche, right? I mean, yeah, it's not a 911, it's not a Cayman, but it feels planted, whereas the BMW kind of felt like you could feel it's an SUV. Sure, it's on the 3 Series platform, but
well, it's
here,
not on the 3 Series platform.
It's
like the 3 Series version of the SUVs.
Right, and then of course with the PDK, I mean, you have those lightning quick shifts.
Yeah.
And I mean, this thing isn't fast. It's not going to blow your doors off. You know, it's not the Macan GTS, but it's not a bad SUV.
But the interesting thing is you would think this would have more performance. It doesn't. It's the same. The performance numbers are identical.
Right.
Between the two.
Well, because this is, honestly, in all honesty, this is the car you buy your daughter when she's going to college and you have a lot of money. The base Macan.
I would say there's a lot of people who would be happy in this. It is definitely a more upscale interior, but it feels older. But my biggest thing is with the Macan is I wish, and they just came out with the Macan EV.
Right.
But I wish they spent a little more time focusing on also the regular gas-powered Macans, because it just feels old in here. The gauge cluster is from 2015. This entire center control stack is
I actually really like the
old.
gauge cluster. Sure, it's not the new 992, but this is based off the 991.
Yeah.
I like it. I like the tack
Shares
in the
with
middle.
the Cayman.
Yeah, I like the tack in the middle. I like how simple it is and how basic it is. I'm actually not a big fan of like big, like crazy, overcomplicated screens to use. I like these. These are just basic. Everything I need is right there. But, you know, it is outdated at this point. I mean, it's, you know.
But other than that, I'd say the materials in here are nice. These seats are a little stiffer than the BMW seats would be. Yeah. I love how even with the inline 4, you can hear the burbles out back on the shifts.
The PDK is really good for that. I mean, it does what it needs to do. It's the PDK at the end of the day. It is it's a very good transmission. I love it. There's one complaint I have with it, and it's when you're first taking off and you're not in like sport or anything, it feels like for a second it's about to disengage, kind of like the old school DCTs do, like on the F80 M3 and all that. It kind of feels like that a little bit, but honestly, it's really good. I do like this SUV for what it is. I do like it. Now, here's the gist of it. Both of these are really good crossovers, but of course, if you're shopping around, you can't buy both. Well, I mean, you might be able to if you have that kind of money, but you probably only buy one. Yeah.
I think for all intensive purposes, and this is not me being a BMW fanboy here, this is just me being practical with it. I think for all intensive purposes, the fact that you can get this new for that used, and I personally, I mean, subjectively, I think it looks really good. It's got better cargo capacity. It's the same speed. That has a little bit higher of a top speed. This has better gas mileage, a newer interior. I just think that this really fits. And even though they are both base models, I think the stuff you get in this by default is much better than what you would get in something like a Macan.
I think I'm going to have to disagree with him on the sole fact that, I mean, we're car guys. I love the aspect of driving one. I mean, to be honest with you guys, I wouldn't buy any of these anyways because it doesn't fit what I like to drive.
Yeah, well,
we're talking objectively about people that are looking for this. But this is the much better driver's car. At the end of the day, it's a Porsche. It drives much better. The transmission's much better, and it comes standard with all-wheel drive. So if you live in a winter climate, sure, this car is more expensive, but in 21, the base price of one of these was $53,000. So yeah, it's more expensive, but at the end of the day, you're getting the Porsche experience. And, you know, sure, you can say it's outdated. The interior is outdated. There's not much cargo capacity. There's not much leg room in the back.
But doesn't that defeat the whole purpose of practicality?
Listen, we're going to talk about the aspect. It's a Porsche. It's a Porsche, okay? The car drives really good. I mean, you guys saw it. It's a great, phenomenal driver's car. And that transmission is, I mean, I think the PDK is the best transmission ever made. I don't think that there's another company out there that comes close to them. Of course, they have other ones that are dual clutch that are good. I think just the PDK.
I think in terms of dual clutch transmissions and performance transmissions, yes, the PDK is incredible. But I think for everyday transmissions that you use, I think the ZF8 speed is the most practical and most versatile transmission you could put in a car.
You could go about this all day. At the end of the day, it's your personal preference. We're just trying to give you some points from each car. But let us know down below what you think. Let us know, will you take a base model Macan 2021
or a brand new base model X3
to your newer base model X3? Let us know. And thank you so much for watching. We'll see you in the next video. Make sure you like, subscribe, and check out our channel for more content like this.